The moon hung like a sickle in the ink-black sky as I gripped the steering wheel, my knuckles white against the cold leather. Rain tapped insistently against the windshield, distorting the world into a surreal mosaic. I was alone on this desolate stretch of road, surrounded by a forest that seemed to be holding its breath, waiting for something to happen. The radio crackled to life, emitting an eerie static that sent shivers down my spine. I reached to turn it off, but the dial refused to respond. Cycling through channels of static and distant whispers. Unease settled in my chest like a heavy weight as the road ahead seemed to stretch into oblivion. I glanced at the GPS, hoping for a sign of civilization, but the screen remained blank, a digital void reflecting the emptiness around me. My heart pounded faster, my breath quickening as panic crept in. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong, that I had stepped into a nightmare I couldn't escape, as I continued down the road. The forest pressed in closer, the trees casting elongated shadows that seemed to reach out like skeletal fingers. My headlights cut through the darkness, revealing fleeting glimpses of movement at the edge of the woods. Each time I blinked, it felt like the shadows had shifted, closing in on me. My mind was a whirlwind of fear and paranoia. I could almost hear faint whispers carried by the wind, unintelligible words that prickled the back of my neck. The rain intensified. Now coming down in heavy sheets, making it even harder to see. I considered turning around and retracing my path, but a gnawing curiosity kept me driving forward. Up ahead, a flickering light appeared, like a beacon in the abyss. Relief surged through me as I approached what seemed to be a dilapidated gas station. The place was a snapshot of a forgotten time, the rusty pumps standing like sentinels guarding an entrance to the unknown. I parked the car and stepped out. The rain plastering my clothes to my skin. The gas station was eerily quiet, the only sound the dripping of rainwater. The old sign creaked in the wind, casting flickering shadows that danced across the cracked pavement. The door to the convenience store swung open with a rusty groan, revealing a dim interior bathed in sickly fluorescent light. Shelves were lined with expired products, their labels faded and peeling. The air was heavy with the scent of decay, and my unease returned in full force. "Hello?" I called out, my voice barely more than a whisper. There was no response, just the echo of my own words bouncing off the walls. I wandered down the narrow aisles, my footsteps echoing in the silence. Something felt deeply wrong, like I had stumbled into a place that was never meant to be found. As I turned a corner, a cold draft washed over me, and I froze in my tracks. Before me stood a door, slightly ajar, leading to a basement. A staircase descended into darkness. The steps worn and creaking. Dread pooled in my stomach, but a compulsion I couldn't explain drew me closer. With each step, the air grew heavier, the temperature dropping to an unbearable chill. The basement was illuminated by a single flickering bulb, casting eerie shadows that danced across the walls. And then I saw it, a figure, hunched over in the corner. My heart thundered in my chest as I approached cautiously, my breath catching in my throat. The figure's head snapped up, revealing hollow eyes that seemed to pierce through my very soul. It opened its mouth, emitting a raspy, otherworldly sound that sent a shockwave of terror through me. I stumbled back, my mind a whirlwind of fear and disbelief. I turned and fled up the stairs, the basement door slamming shut behind me with a force that shook the ground. Adrenaline propelled me as I burst through the convenience store and out into the rain-soaked night. I jumped into my car, fumbling for the keys. And the engine roared to life. Without looking back, I sped away from that accursed gas station, and the image of the figure burned into my mind. The rain continued to fall, but now it was a cleansing deluge, washing away the nightmare I had stumbled into. To this day, I can't explain what happened that night. Was it a hallucination brought on by exhaustion and fear? Or had I truly glimpsed something that defied the laws of reality? One thing is certain, I will never forget the sensation of driving through that dark abyss, where the boundaries of the known world dissolved and something ancient and terrifying lurked just beyond the veil.